The gallery smelled like money and desperation. The art was priceless, my career hanging by a thread. At Leon and Finch, New York's elite gathered to pretend they understood chaos while paying millions for it. My job was simple: sell meaning, and I was very good at it. Or at least I thought I was. It started as just another client. Old money, big ego, no boundaries. As we walked toward a priceless sculpture, he leaned too close, entitled, amused, convinced rules didn't apply to him. I stepped in, because art deserves respect.
Stop! You can't do that to this priceless sculpture!
Not because I was wrong, but because I said no. And in this world, saying no is unforgivable. Cleo. My name, spoken like a verdict. Vivian Ambrose, cold, flawless, merciless. And beside her stood Ethan, new, polished, smiling like he'd been waiting for this moment. The story changed quickly. Suddenly I was the
Cleo,
problem.
your incompetence has cost us this deal. I expected better from you.
Closed doors, history was rewritten.
This is my
Success
moment
became
now.
negligence. Leadership became recklessness, and trust disappeared. You're suspended, Vivian said. 1 month, maybe more, maybe forever. Talent, apparently, isn't enough when you refuse to bend. I walked out of the gallery feeling smaller than the art I once protected. The place that built me had quietly decided to break me. I thought home would be safe. It wasn't the clothes, the sounds, the truth waiting behind a half-open door. Josh, my partner. My anchor was tangled in betrayal. And just like that, the last illusion shattered. In one day, I lost my job, my stability, my future. I walked into the night carrying everything that was left of me. But here's what no one tells you about rock bottom. It's solid ground. And when everything is taken from you, you finally get to choose what you rebuild. They thought this was my breaking point. They were wrong. This was my beginning. If anyone had told Cleo her life would glitch before her, she would have just laughed. For a moment, Cleo did not move. Her mind stalled, refusing to translate what her eyes delivered so mercilessly. The bedroom, her bedroom, had become a painting of
I need to
ruin.
know the truth.
Josh was there, unmistakably so, tangled in sheets that no longer belonged to her. Another woman lay with him, limbs intertwined, skin flushed, the air thick with heat and betrayal. His hands that had traced Cleo's back only the night before, now rested on someone else as if they had always belonged there. The sounds broke something in her. Not loud, not dramatic, just intimate enough to wound. A laugh rose in her throat and collapsed into something breathless and hollow. The absurdity of it all struck first, sharp and disorienting. This was how it ended, not with a warning, not with a confession. But like this. Josh noticed her too late. Panic crossed his face in an instant, raw and unfiltered, his body still caught in the moment he wished he could undo. The woman, sun-kissed, blonde, unimpressed, reached for the sheets with performative modesty, as though decorum still had relevance. Cleo spoke before emotion could catch up. Her voice was calm, too calm, the kind of calm that precedes devastation. She shut down excuses before they could form. She dismantled them with precision. Each word was a boundary drawn in blood. When blame surfaced, softly, cowardly, it ignited something colder than pain. Anger, clarity. Josh talked. She listened long enough to understand one thing. He had already rewritten the story in his favor. That was when she stopped seeing him as the man she loved and started seeing him for what he was, small, selfish, and finished. She packed without ceremony, no tears, no speeches, just the finality of action. When she told him he was nothing to her now, it wasn't cruelty. It was truth. The door slammed behind her. Outside, the night air hit hard, stripping away the last of her composure. The room was quiet when Cleo stared down at her phone, its glow cutting through the darkness like a small, misplaced promise. A few cheerful gifts blinked back at her. Olivia, V to those who loved her, reminding the group chat of their standing Sunday brunch. Kimberly had already reacted with hearts. Normal life. Still moving. Still waiting for her to catch up. Her thoughts drifted somewhere safer. Home. Before doubt could interfere, she dialed her mother's number. It was answered on the second ring, warmth rushing through the line like it always had. Her mother heard what Cleo tried to hide.
I can't believe it. This is so hard.
Dinner, her favorite, no questions yet. Cleo agreed before her voice could break. The drive to Hudson unfolded like a memory reel. Familiar streets, old trees, a childhood that had been both tender and turbulent. There had been laughter and bike rides, yes, but also late-night arguments, whispered fears, and the long shadow of her father's mistakes. Home had never been perfect, but it had been real. The smell of baked food wrapped around her the moment she stepped inside. Her mother was already in the kitchen, humming softly, apron dusted with flour. The hug that followed was wordless and necessary. For a moment, Cleo let herself be someone's daughter instead of someone who had failed. They talked carefully at first. Then the truth slipped out in pieces. A cheating boyfriend. A job unraveling under someone else's ambition. Cleo spoke like she was describing someone else's life. Distant, disbelieving. Her mother listened without interrupting, offering no fixes, only understanding. Safety. Then the front door opened. Her father's presence shifted the air instantly. He looked older somehow. Tired. Trying. He greeted her with surprise and affection, but Cleo recognized the familiar caution behind his eyes, the look of a man still carrying the weight of his past. They danced around the truth at dinner, trading small talk and polite concern.
I lost my job.
I'm so sorry, Cleo. We need to talk about this.
I know. It's been weighing on me. Let's just get through dinner first.
Afterward, Cleo retreated to the living room, sinking into a couch that remembered her better days. The house was full of echoes. Laughter, shouting, love, regret. Her mother joined her, sitting close, grounding her with nothing more than presence. Cleo admitted what she'd been afraid to say all day. She no longer knew what happiness looked like. Her mother didn't rush to answer. She never did. She only reminded Cleo that losing her way didn't mean she'd lost herself. And in that familiar room, wrapped in memory and quiet reassurance, Cleo felt it. A small, fragile flicker of hope. Not a solution. Not a miracle. Just the possibility that this wasn't the end of her story.
I don't know.
Only
what
the place
happiness
where
looks
she
like
paused
anymore.
long enough to begin again. I woke up to the soft glow of morning light filtering through the curtains, the scent of fresh linen and vanilla in the air. Then, I glanced at my phone, and the reality of my spectacularly ruined life came crashing back. Unemployed. Betrayed. Living in my childhood bedroom like a washed-up pop star, trying to relive her glory days. I groaned and rolled onto my side, staring at the ceiling. The familiar cracks in the paint were still there. The posters I had taped up in my teenage years still clinging to the walls, and my old bookshelf stood untouched, packed with books I once swore I'd read again but never did. My mom had kept everything the same. Sighing, I forced myself out of bed, slipping on a hoodie before making my way to the kitchen. The smell of pancakes and coffee filled the air, instantly making me feel like a kid again. My mom stood by the stove, flipping a pancake with a practiced flick of her wrist, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. The radio played softly in the background, an old R&B song that she used to dance to while cooking. She turned, giving me a warm smile, pouring syrup over a stack of pancakes. I hesitated. I slept. She gave me a knowing look but didn't press. Instead, she set a plate in front of me. Eat. I picked up my fork, cutting into the pancake. You still make these the exact same way. We ate in silence for a moment before she asked, "So, what's the plan for today?" Let out a slow breath. "I have no idea. I kind of just want to stay inside and pretend the outside world doesn't exist." She nodded. "I get that, but if you get stir-crazy, I need a few things from the store." I debated saying no, but honestly, a small errand sounded better than sitting in my old room and marinating in my emotions all day. "Yeah, okay," I said. "Good. Fresh air never hurt anyone." The grocery store was exactly how I remembered it, small, slightly outdated, and filled with people who probably knew my entire life story. I stood in the baking aisle, scanning the shelves for brown sugar, when a familiar voice stopped me in my tracks. Cleo turned, and there she was, Maya Clarkson. My brain took a second to catch up. She grinned, placing a hand on her belly. "Holy crap, it is you! Look at you all city girl chic." I glanced down at my oversized hoodie and leggings. "Right, super chic." She laughed. "Maya and I used to get along well in high school." "Wow, I haven't seen you since high school. What are you doing here, visiting?" I hesitated. "Something like that." Maya's eyes narrowed playfully. "You're being weird." "Spill." I sighed, shifting my basket to my other arm. "Long story short, I lost my job, found out my boyfriend's a cheating asshole, and now I'm having a quarter-life crisis in my childhood bedroom." Maya's jaw dropped. "Oh, damn. I was not expecting all that." "Yeah, fun times." She winced. "Okay, first of all, your ex sounds like an absolute trash bag." "Correct. And second, I'm so sorry." I let out a dry laugh. "I married Jason." I choked on my own saliva. "Wait, Jason? Jason Cooper?" She beamed. "Yep, high school sweetheart, still going strong." She placed a hand on her belly. "And this little one is his." I stared at her, my brain scrambling to process this information. "You're still with Jason?" 10 years together now," she said proudly. "He proposed after college, and we got married 2 years ago. Now we're expecting our first baby. Wild, right?" Wild wasn't the word I'd use. More like stab me in the heart and twist the knife. Maya and Jason had been together since sophomore year. They were that couple always holding hands in the hallway, always cuddling at parties, always making the rest of us look like we were doing relationships wrong. I stood there holding brown sugar and unanswered questions. Maya had everything figured out. I was starting over. Maybe coming home wasn't as simple as I thought. After dumping the groceries in the kitchen, Cleo escaped upstairs and collapsed onto her childhood bed, staring at a ceiling she'd memorized years ago. She reached for her phone, ready to disappear into mindless scrolling, but one notification cut straight through her fog. Josh wanted to talk. Now. She didn't blink. There was nothing left to excavate from that wreckage. Her reply was clean, deliberate, and final. They were done. She'd come for her things. He shouldn't be there. The typing dots flickered like a bad habit, on, off, on again, then vanished. Good. Silence could do the heavy lifting. She dropped the phone and let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. The room felt smaller. Or maybe she was just done being alone with it. What she needed wasn't clarity. It was backup. The group call answered with noise and love in equal measure.
Oh gosh, Cleo, you are not going to believe this. I just heard the wildest gossip. Have to wake up for this.
Kimberly's theatrics, Olivia's dramatic gasp, familiar chaos rushing in like a tide. The jokes landed first, as they always did, but they didn't miss the exhaustion beneath Cleo's voice. She told them everything. The job, Ethan's setup, the suspension dressed up as mercy, and the betrayal waiting at home when she'd least expected it. The laughter stopped, then came outrage, loud, righteous, protective. Plans formed mid-sentence. Brunch was declared mandatory. Revenge was discussed strictly in theory, with enthusiasm.
Josh was cheating.
And somewhere between the sarcasm and shared fury, Cleo felt her chest loosen. By the time the call ended, she lay back on the bed, staring at the same ceiling. Only now it didn't feel like it was pressing down on her. Her life was still a mess, but she had witnesses. She had allies. And for tonight, that was more than enough. Stay tuned if you want to hear the remaining gist.